Hello everyone, this is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Annetta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm about to go into what we were shipping out today on Monday. So this is all the stuff from like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So for the weekend, it was like a lot of stuff, but a lot of this is low dollar amounts. So it's kind of like a weaker weekend, but I was still glad to get a bunch of stuff. There wasn't any like big chunky sales. I'll go through like the most expensive one when I get to it. But the first thing that sold is Urban War Evolve or Die magazines. There's two of them. These are issues 3 and 4. It just looks like they're miniature magazines. I grab stuff like this all the time when I find it. I don't know too much about it, but this sold for $20 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping, so I'll save us some time right now, just so you don't have to hear it for every item. All right, next up is the combo order. I sold 2 different types of maps. So this one's like a vinyl rollout map right here. This is going to be a 1-inch gridded, like square gridded map for role-playing games like Dungeon Masters and players to play on. This one's kind of like a vinyl. So yeah, this is like the innards to a castle. And then the other one was like a fold-up. So this is going to be kind of annoying to ship. So I don't really want to bend this one because it didn't already have bends in it. And this one's also a really cool, it's like almost a black and white, but instead of white, it's like a yellow tone to it. This is also a castle as well. So, yep, they're going to be using this for a role-playing game, some kind of fantasy one. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I have a couple other maps like this. This is like vintage. I couldn't figure out where this was from, so I just like put like the size and I put inner castle and as many keywords as I could. So I'm sure this goes to a specific RPG. It doesn't really look custom. It's actually like a good quality piece of paper. But yeah, those were both combo orders. So together it was $37.01. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to ship those. We also have another repeat buyer, but not a combo order. This is a lot of 56 Frog God Games more. It's called the City of Brass Play Pack right here. So these are all going to be individual little also gridded maps for a role-playing game. So yeah, the role-playing stuff's been popping off for us. This is the Freeman's Tower. So I don't know if this is all of them. I looked into it. That's why I put like a lot of 56 of these. Palace of Wonders. So yeah, there's a lot of different sheets in here, 56 in total. So yeah, it's really cool to sell stuff like this. But yeah, we got $30 for this. I think if this was more complete, it would have been more, but $30 for this. This was like in like a bargain bin type of deal. So yeah, that's awesome. All right, next up is a framed art picture, which is, it is rare for us to sell art. Annetta grabs it sometimes, or most of the time. She probably got this from an estate sale or something. This one is called Celebrate Togetherness right here. It's a bunch of like people made of stones. It's like really artsy, and then the stones are also like the tips of some flowers. But yeah, this one sold for $12.99. I think we have another one by this artist. I can't really read it right now. It's the cursive is just too messed up down there. All right, oh, Sharon Nolan, there you go. All right, next up is a record. We got a bunch of free records because they were going to be thrown out. These were from Annetta's mom. We got like over a couple hundred animal stories right here. Yeah, it's just going to be for, yeah, animal stories for kids. There's going to be a bunch of them on there. The record's in good condition. This sold for $10. So yeah, most of the free ones we got sold for $9.99, maybe $8 an all for $10. But yeah, all right, next up is also an interesting sale for me because it's kind of just generic. These are 6 board game rockets. These are like plastic custom pieces. There's white, green, red, black, yellow, and blue, and they're like 1 inch tall. And yeah, that's it. That's all there was in the listing. I just mentioned that they're board game rocket pieces, the colors, and 1 inch. This sold for $9.99. So yeah, it's awesome. We always get a lot of board game bits and pieces. Even for the ones that I think won't sell, I'll still spend the time to list them. That's probably one of the ones where I'm like, if we sell it, we sell it. If not, it takes up like this much space in a bin. Next up is a role-playing game. Like the role-playing game stuff has been really good for us, is a Dungeon Master screen. I had this person send me messages about it. I actually couldn't figure out what's like book or company had this Dungeon Master screen. So I had this cover, this back, and then it folds out, and then it has combat stats on one side and then carriage chase stats on another side. And I put RPG DM screen. Someone happened to, they asked me if it was part of like a RPG game called Victorious. So then I looked up Victorious RPG. I'm scrolling through a bunch of stuff. I see a module, like an adventure module by Victorious with the same cover. So I was like, oh, hey, I think it's actually for that particular adventure. It's not like a generic one for the game. It's going to have stats, which is going to have a combat carriage chase. It's going to have specific rules for the Dungeon Master behind this screen. So I still, even without knowing what this was fully, I know a lot of people like stress about having like all the perfect information, perfect price. That actually just doesn't bother me. I just straight up list it with as many keywords as possible. I know in general Dungeon Master screens are probably gonna go for $10 to $25. So I think I put this up for 20. They sent an offer for 18, and it also was a repeat buyer. So yeah, sold that one for 18 with very little information on it, which is great. All right, next up is a video game sale. This is Borderlands Game of the Year for the PC. This is probably because the movie's out. We haven't seen the movie. I heard the movie was like really terrible, has the really bad reviews, and doesn't really relate to the video games at all. So someone probably watched the movie. They probably were offended, and then they just wanted to cleanse themselves of like whatever they just watched, and they're just going to go play the game. Or they're just thinking about the game because there's a movie and people are talking about it. They love the game. I've played Borderlands, I think 1 and 2. I think my little brother played 3 and maybe all the extra DLCs and stuff like that. I'm not too sure. I know he's played more than me. But yeah, part 1 and 2 is a good game. There's a lot of these like printed out there. This was popular. There's a lot of different. This is Game of the Year edition, so they don't go for like too much money. But this one sold for $9.99, so that's great because I always get like you've seen a lot of PC games. Next up is a Funko. I do have a good amount of Funkos, but most of them I don't collect Funkos. Anetta doesn't collect Funkos. These are just out from sourcing. Most of the ones we sell for $10. This one sold for $10. This one is from the TV show, I believe, Preacher, and it was the Tulip character. I don't know anything about the TV show at all, and I don't know anything about the character, but yeah, the box is pretty good shape. This is pretty easy to ship. I have a bunch of other like $10-ish Funko Pops listed, so yeah, there you go. All right, moving along, we have a war game from a magazine right here. This is Excalibur Games 1977 Krima Panzer Battles, if I can find it. It was just the game from the magazines. A lot of these magazines would come with the game inside. Oh, here it is. This one's already punched. So there you go. There's the like the rules. There's going to be the map inside there, inside of the booklet. There's little tokens and the dice. So yeah, full-fledged game. This is by a repeat buyer. I remember the username, so I know they've definitely bought miniature stuff from us before, war stuff from us before. So this sold for $18. Moving along is an interesting sale. We get a lot of like model kits, miniature kits. A lot of them are like incomplete. So this one was slightly incomplete. It was probably missing like one like skew or whatever. I forget exactly what they're called. I can't think of it right now. Having a brain fart. But yeah, this one sold for $21.60. It is a Panzer II or Panzer III Ost MN German medium tank. There you go. It also looks like these are miniatures, like this box is from Japan or something. I see a lot of Japan words on it. So yeah, $21.60 for an incomplete kit is still pretty good. Next up was a personal item. I don't have too many personal items. I didn't have much stuff before we moved out. This is one I happened to get a bunch of, or kind of, Magic the Gathering Theros book number 4. It comes with a card. When I was reading these back in the day, I can't remember when these came out. Let me see if I can find a year real quick. 2014, I want to say. Maybe, I'm sure. We'll go with 2014. It's been a while. They had 6 or 12 of these comic books. I was into comic books at the time, so when I was buying one, I'd buy out the rest because I'm like, oh, it has a card, so maybe it'll be like worth more money. I'm investing into it into the future. This probably cost me like $4 or $5. There you go. I ended up only selling this for $18. I wasn't going to hold on to the few extras I had anymore, like because all the cards, like this is unique to the comic, the acquire card. Well, not unique. This art is unique to the comic book, but they're allowed to print it in any other future set they want. So it's not on the reserve list. So I was like, I'm not going to hold on to these anymore. I don't care about them. This sold for $18. So 5 into 18, but almost 10 years. Yeah, that was not worth it. But there was that would theoretically eventually be worth more. But like for 10 years, it was not worth the wait. So yeah, I'm glad it's gone. I spent $5 into my personal item. I did buy a copy to read, so I opened up a copy to read for all the comics. So I did read the series. It kind of like abruptly stopped. So yeah, it was fun reading it while it was out. But yeah, moving along to the next item, we have a sticker book, Wonders of the Animal Kingdom. I happen to remember these things back in the day. You would open them up, and then there'd be little slots for stickers. You would have to buy like $1 sticker packs or something, or quarter sticker packs, and then you would collect them. Some of them would be shiny. So this is a booklet with just one of the stickers on it. But yeah, this sold for $6.98. Yeah, there you go. Moving along is another incomplete kit. I'm not too sure why this one sold. My only guess is because it's really old. I couldn't find a date, so this is probably like mid-1960s or something like that. maybe earlier. Yeah, this is incomplete. It's like a lot of wooden pieces. I took a picture of all the pieces. This happened to sell for $25. So yeah, sometimes even when I get stuff like this, I open it up and a lot of stuff's missing, just like the German tank. I still list it. Someone might want the bits or pieces or parts, or they just want the box. The box is good enough. Or they just want it because they remember they had this when they were a kid, because it's an older item. Maybe it's an older gentleman who purchased it. Who knows? All right, next up is a little, like a catalog from TSR, which did like old Dungeons and Dragons stuff and a lot of fantasy stuff. Let me see if I can find it right now. Struggling to find it. Here it is. Summer Fall 1993. So yeah, little catalogs like this do pretty well. I just like catalogs in general, especially like vintage ones. Yeah, this is a lot of like cool dragons and different Dungeons and Dragons games from the early 90s. So yeah, just this catalog sold for $12.60. So it's fun for people to go through. Moving along is an item that is kind of dear to me. I actually have my own copy of this on my bookshelf, but this is an extra Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness. This is like the manual. This game was really awesome. RTS, it spun like a whole genre. I played probably over like 10,000 hours of this game, maybe more. Like, kid you not, like Warcraft 1 and Part 2 were like my first adventures kind of into PC gaming back when I was a kid. So yeah, I know other people like the stuff, and this has really cool art in it. This is like a well done manual. It's basically like a mini book / strategy guide, even though it's a manual. This sold for $12.15. Next up is an item I think I grabbed a long time ago. This is a Thomas the Tank Engine bib. I think this was like a Goodwill or Savers purchase. I probably paid 50 cents or a quarter on like a half off. I waited till it's half off. Yeah, we bought this, so whenever I'm crying like a baby, Annetta's gonna put this on to me and make fun of me. No, I'm just kidding. This was just like, yeah, this was early eBay days where sealed stuff, I would be mostly looking at sealed stuff, thinking that sealed would result in not returns and like a bunch of other like misconceptions. We've had a lot of returns on sealed stuff as well. So like it was just like wrong thinking about only get sealed stuff. You can't sell used stuff on eBay. Most of the stuff we sell is used now these days. So yeah, I grabbed this. It sold for $8, so technically you did make a lot of money. It's gonna be light to ship. It was easy to store, but yeah, it's not something I would grab again these days at all. Yeah, that's a very old listing, probably first few hundred listings of ours. That sold for $8. All right, next up is another cool catalog magazine right here, Entertainment Earth. I don't know too much about this, but when I was going through it, there was a lot of different like topics. There's stuff from Star Wars all the way to like Barbies, Flintstones, board games, basically any entertainment stuff. This was really cool. I didn't see any up there. I think I put it up for $21.99 and it sold relatively quickly for $21.99. So who knows, maybe it could have been worth more. I thought I was pricing it high, but yeah, it's issue number 12 for spring 2005. Yeah, it's a really cool one. Yeah, a lot of catalogs and these like weird eclectic stuff that we sold. All right, next up is some magazines. Ironically, we sold a game to a different type of magazine with just the game, and now these are just the 4 magazines, Counterattack, and I specifically put no games in them, so there's no inserts. I'm not sure if these ones do come with games, but I just wrote it just in case. But yeah, there's 4 of them. These are issues volumes 1 through 4. So yeah, it sold for $15. And then our biggest sale of the whole weekend is this DVD, the Osbourne's 2.5 edition or whatever like that, or 2.5, one, yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I've never seen this. I know people like the Osbournes back in the day. I don't know if they still like them now. But yeah, this was sealed. I got this. I bought like a bunch of DVDs from a personal friend for like $10 or $20. Got like a huge tub. I think I have like 10 or so in the other room to list. I just kind of got a little bit bored of listing DVDs. So this happened to be a surprising one worth money. Most other ones were worth like $5 to $10, maybe 12 or 15. But yeah, this one sold for 45, and that's the biggest or the most expensive item that sold today on over the weekend that we're shipping out on Monday. All right, moving along is another interesting item. This is Doomtown Town Square player mats. This is a nice player mat that folds out. This is from 1999, Wizards of the Coast. This one's special because the game has been redone a couple times, and Fantasy Flight Games eventually grabbed it and turned it into a living card game. I think this was Wizards of the Coast collectible game back in the day. I'm not sure if the cards are cross-compatible, probably not. But yeah, this is kind of like a hipster card game. I'm not sure where it stands now, but this sold for $11.25. I think I've sold the base game and some expansions. They haven't been recorded on our YouTube channel, but we have in the past. So like base games for not the 1999 one, but the living card game, the newer one from Fantasy Flight. All right, Next up is some anime DVD. This is Heat Guy, volumes 1 through 3. I don't know anything about this. I haven't seen it as well. This is just a nice little box set. Everything was in good condition, and then the DVDs were not scratched. I know anime stuff is super popular. This sold for $12.15. I do occasionally come across it. It's kind of uncommon. It's not rare, but it's uncommon. So I do grab it if it's cheap enough, because I know people are always wanting to consume a bunch of the media physical, like the books, or all the way up to the DVDs and the movies and the shows. Next up is some bits and pieces from Warhammer Age of Sigmar. These are going to be Lumineth Realm Lords tokens. It looks like there's objective markers down over here, and then we have some Aether Quartz markers, and then like a measuring stick right here. So yeah, I just used probably, oh no, I actually said down here what it is. I didn't have to use reverse image. But yeah, this sold for $9.60, just bits and pieces for Warhammer. Always do well for us. Moving along, we have some Gloomhaven little standees. These are bandit cards right here. This is a set of 6, so like the game comes with a full set of 6. Yeah, I like pieced out a Gloomhaven one time, and it's been selling slowly, but it's cool. Like maybe someone wants more of these for like either Gloomhaven itself, they spilled a drink on their standees, or they're just trying to do some custom stuff. Or I don't know if the role-playing game is out yet, but they can use these probably standees and miniatures for the role-playing game if they don't own the board game, or if they don't want to like be opening up their board game every time they need to get standees for their RPG. So yeah, these sold for $6.99, which is kind of, that's awesome. Yeah, I pieced out a whole Gloomhaven just because a couple important pieces were missing from it. So instead of like not doing anything with it, I just pieced it out. It took like a day or so to list everything, but I did get my money back from it and more. All right, next up is a promo card right here. This is for, I believe, X-Wings right here. This is Director Krennic right here. So this is probably going to be an alt art card that you get for going to a shop and winning like a tournament or something like that. So yeah, this is like a full art on the front and in the back there. This sold for $6.50. I happen to have another one, so I listed it. It's my last one after this one sells. And then we have a board game promo. This is Dan the Geek. This is for Tiny Epic Pirates. Yeah, look at this little tiny thing. This little tiny one card promo sold for $13.50. The Tiny Epic games are by Gameland Games, and they're always these tiny games in a box, like about this size, like maybe like if you like slice this pop in half, that's like what all of their games usually are. And they have a lot of small cards, bits and pieces. They are like in-depth strategy games. So I would say the complexity is medium. There's like a lot of depth to them for being like a small little box game. But yeah, this is just a promo for the pirate version of their game for $13.50. Next up is a Scratch and Sniff Smelly Old History Vile Vikings book. Yeah, this I think I put down that the Scratch and Sniff doesn't really work anymore, because I think after you scratch it so many times it just doesn't work. I'm not fully sure about the science, but yeah, this wasn't going to work. This is vintage. This sold for $9.99. There you go. Even if something doesn't work or it's broken, it still sells. All right, moving along, we have a combo order. These are both for Armada, so it's not the X-Wing game, but it's going to be weird because this is the X-Wing Squadron card for Armada, and then this is the TIE Fighter Squadron for Armada. Armada is by Fantasy Flight Games. It's like X-Wing. X-Wing is the Star Wars miniature game where you're playing a bunch of small ships against each other. Armada is basically you're doing like fleets and squadrons against each other, except for that the miniatures are a lot smaller. They're like actually smaller in Armada, but you play with a bunch of them. So yeah, these are going to be alternate art promo cards. I had one more of each of these, so I also relisted them. These sold as a combo order for $13.98, different than the other person that bought the Commander card. All right, next up is some playing cards. I think I happen to remember I got these from like Savers or Goodwill. I think Goodwill. Yeah, I can remember it now. I picture it now. It's like in a little bin. I want to get them again. These are NFL playing cards by Bicycle. Ditka's picks. There you go. Yeah, I like to get unique playing card decks. This was super early on, so I probably would have passed on this like these days now, unless it came in bulk with a bunch of other playing card decks and just happened to be there, so I might as well list it. But this sold for $5, and I think I paid $1 for this. And if it was half off for that day, or that sticker color, I probably paid 50 cents. Not really worth it. Still money. Took up very little space. Old listing, wouldn't do it again, because now I know like what playing card decks I can keep an eye out for, because I've sold some in up to the 40s or 50s for playing card decks before. All right, last thing is a bunch of party streamers for Donald Duck. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 of these right here. These are like how many feet? 12 feet each. They didn't send me a message yet, but they bought this like mid-late Friday, so I wasn't going to be able to get it out. We haven't been able to ship out on Saturday in a while. Our just like timing of everything just doesn't line up. We wouldn't be able to do it unless if we like woke up at the crack of dawn. But yeah, these sold for $12.50. I hope they make it there, but we are about to pack up all this after the video and ship this out. So yeah, that's all the stuff that I'm going to talk about for eBay. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I am going to go into like a brief game we played. Annette and I played Arkham Horror, the card game. So if you're just here for eBay, you can go ahead and skip this. But yeah, I'm going to just jump right into this. So Arkham Horror, the card game, is a living card game, meaning that they would make a bunch of expansions and continually add content for it. This is by Fantasy Flight Games. So yeah, we went through the first few scenarios, the first 2 of the 3. It was a lot of fun. So here's the learn to play booklet. Here's the rules reference. Here's the little campaign, Night of the Zealots. Oh yeah, but the goal of the game is you're playing a detective. There's 5 different detectives that you can play from. These are the 3 that we're not using. I actually put our decks in like a little container. And then you're usually discovering clue tokens, and then you're using these clue tokens to spend them to advance the act, kind of like a play, right? And then the enemies have like an agenda that they're trying to work towards, and they get doom tokens. So you're playing a bunch of cards. There's a bunch of like monsters, and then things that mess with your mind, different like treachery events. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've heard this game is really good for a while. We've had this base game for a bit. This happened to be a bunch of other random cards. It was heavy, so I knew there's more than the base game in here, like at bulk for a couple dollars at some point, and like a lot of other stuff I got. So yeah, I can tell that there's like another campaign series in there and some additional characters. It's a really fun game. You get to like customize your little deck. Your deck's like 30 cards, so it's not like super overwhelming. And yeah, it's cool to have like a unique little story universe that you're going through, this little campaign. If the enemies hurt you, you can get like physical and mental trauma, so that carries over to like game 2 and 3. You earn like experience points, and then you get to like, you have a little shop of cards that each detective has like certain cards they can purchase, so you're like upgrading your game. So I like that your deck is basically fresh each time. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good stuff about this. I think if you actually buy everything for this game, MSRP at the time, it would probably be like $1,000 or more. That's how long this game has been out. I don't even know if it's still going. I assume it is. But yeah, I don't know where it stands currently right now, but I know there's a lot of content, even if they aren't continuing it right now. So yeah, it was cool to jump into a good oldie that I've heard about. There's a lot of other games I have to jump into and play. I think Annetta liked it a lot as well. I think she gave it like an 8 out of 10. This is probably also like an 8 or 9 out of 10 for me. But yeah, thanks for my little spiel. Everyone have a good week. It's the start of the week. We're about to jump into it. Have a good one.